Hey, this is Dr. Alduan Tartt, Christian psychologist. I'm working from home, kind of dressed down today. I have a message for anyone that has a friend who's in a toxic relationship. It's a friend, a family member, an acquaintance, someone you care about, and you're worried about them because you can see signs that they are losing their identity and that they are starting to fade and erode away, starting to be stressed, and you're starting to lose someone you care about because they are in a toxic relationship. It can happen to anyone. So if that's you and you have that friend, or if it is you, I want you to tune in. I want you to share this video with someone so that it can set them free. About 4 or 5 years ago, I did a show with a good friend of mine, Hassani Pettiford, on TV One called Love Addiction. You probably can find it in the archives. When we went in and we rescued people from toxic relationships by getting their family members galvanized to do this intervention to help them to see you are losing yourself in this relationship. This relationship is poisonous and toxic to you. And so I want to talk to you about how to get your friends out and family members out of toxic relationships today. And it reminds me of a word I just heard from Bishop Dale C. Bronner, where he preached from 2 Chronicles 17 and 18 from the story of King Jehoshaphat and King Ahab, and how King Jehoshaphat almost lost his life by being involved in a toxic relationship with King Ahab. I'm going to give you a quick minute and a half summary and then bring it right back around to you. Number one, Jehoshaphat was a great leader at first. 3 years, he did everything God asked him to do. He helped people not to worship false gods, not to get caught up in greed, not to get caught up in hate, like what's going on with the Republican Party. Focus on the country. Don't focus on power and aligning with self-hate and alt-right groups just to beat the Democrats. Focus on what's right. So he did that for the first 3 years. He did that. And then he met King Ahab. And King Ahab convinced him to allow his son to marry King Ahab's daughter. So they started this relationship where they would see each other on a regular basis, and they decided to go to war against this other country. But Jehoshaphat said, well, before we go to war, shouldn't we consult God to make sure we're on the right end of this battle? And, Ahab was like, nah, I have 40 prophets. Why don't we just ask them? And so 40 hired prophets. And so, of course, the prophets that Ahab hired told him what he wanted to hear. Go to war, you're going to win. They said the same thing every time. And then Jehoshaphat said, shouldn't we consult a prophet of God, not someone you hired that's going to tell you what to do? Hello, Trump. Same thing Trump does. You don't agree with him, he kicks you off. But if you agree with him, you can stay on the council. It's going to lead to mistakes, but that's a whole nother post. And so they bring in the prophet Micaiah. And Micaiah said, I'm going to tell you what God told me. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. You sure you want to hear it? He said, go ahead. And he said, basically, King Ahab, you're going to die. And Jehoshaphat, if you go with him and you align with him, you could die as well. And so they actually take heed, but they go to war anyway. But King Ahab says, you know what, Jehoshaphat, I'm going to dress down, all right, in civilian clothes, and you wear your royal garments, and we're going to go into war. Why Jehoshaphat did not see this as a warning sign, I don't know. But when they go into battle, of course, everyone chases King Jehoshaphat. And when they get up on him, he screams out to the Lord, please save me. I'm sorry for partnering with King Ahab. Spare my life, please, Lord. I'm sorry that I went against your will. And the Lord arranged for them to not pursue him. They say, oh, that's not King Ahab, that's Jehoshaphat. Forget about him. Let's go find King Ahab and kill him. And so one of the soldiers just randomly launches this arrow to try to hit King Ahab, and it hits him right in the joint in his armor, and he dies right there on the spot. So that brings me to 3 points when it comes to toxic relationships. Number one, some of us are like Jehoshaphat. We are good at first. We are good. But when we need God, we call on him, but we are not allowing God to make the decisions day to day because things are good. And that's how we get involved in toxic relationships. We don't pray to God. We don't say, God, is this person good for me? I know they're attractive. I know they're fine. I know they're funny. I haven't been in a relationship in so long. This person seems to know what they want. They say I'm their husband, a wife, the third date, whatever craziness they say. And we don't consult God. We just kind of go. We don't really deny God. We just don't ask him because we don't really want to hear what he has to say. And we enter in this toxic relationship. But then when it gets hot and you start losing yourself and this person is driving you crazy and you look worse than you did and you're doing worse than ever in the relationship than before, you can cry out to God and he will intercede and get you out of that toxic relationship. All right. Number 2, now small compromises lead to lost identity. I'm going to say it again. Small compromises lead to lost identity because being in a toxic relationship does not happen overnight. It's a little bit at a time, kind of like plaque. You know, brushing your teeth at first, not brushing your teeth at first is not going to kill you, but over time it's going to lead to plaque. And then you're going to find yourself looking up 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, even 3 years in saying, who am I? So if a person is asking you to compromise your morals, that is a negative sign. So if you believe in chivalry and you're dating a man who does not celebrate Valentine's Day, does not open the door, pulls up to the gas pump and lets you pump the gas, whoever heard of such, you know? I just have a negative visceral reaction to that, being a dad of 2 daughters. If my daughter's ever dated a dude that did not pump the gas and open her door and treat her like a queen, he's out of here. I'm rescuing her from that relationship from the very beginning. I'm not going to let her even get in because you don't have any room, you know, anyway, I'm not going to get personal, starting to get fired up, but you understand me. All right, so they're asking you not to go to church. They're asking you used to eat clean. They're asking you to eat junk food, you know, and that's important to you. If they're asking you not to go to college, not to pursue your career, not to spend as much time with your kids, if they ask you to compromise your morals, that is a toxic relationship and you need to get out. Those small little compromises are going to wear you down to where you won't even recognize yourself. And then point number 3, good people won't ask you to compromise your morals. You know, when Ahab asked Jehoshaphat to wear his royal garment, he was setting him up. He was saying, I don't care about your life. I only want to use you. I needed your army to get into this battle. And now that I'm here, I'm going to kind of just go incognito while you go get killed. Some of you are in relationships and you're starting to realize, oh snaps, this person doesn't care for me. They're okay with me suffering. They're okay with me not having money. They're okay with me not looking good, me not getting my hair and nails done, or pursuing my career, or taking care of myself, or taking care of my kids. They only want to take. If it's not about them, they're not interested in me. The minute I say, hey, what about me? They try to put it on me and try to make me prove that I'm good to be in a relationship with. They flip the script. Get out. It is manipulation. It's never too late. King Jehoshaphat called on God at the last minute, and you can call on God. You can pick up the phone and call your friends. Friends, call that friend right now that you're worried about. If she or he is on your spirit right now, call them and say, I need to meet with you. But there's a technique I want you to use. I want you to, first of all, listen to them, align with them. Jehoshaphat had a relationship with God, and even though he went away from him, you know, God didn't abandon him. So don't abandon your friends, because now we've pretty much thrown them to the wolves, to the person who's manipulating them, who's using them, and that's who they base their relationship on. And I've been there too. I've been in toxic relationships where I was so busy trying to please this person, trying to say, all right, well, maybe if I just give it the college try and be the best person I can be. And I should have just been out a long time ago, because I ended up losing my identity and some of my self-esteem and trying to please someone that can't be pleased. That's toxic. You know, so you have to get them out. You have to remind them of who they were. Show them pictures of who they used to be, what they used to look like, things they used to do. You used to want to be a nurse, a doctor, go to school, spend time with your kids, and now all you do is try to please this man or please this woman. Remind them so that they can get out. It's never too late. You can get them out of that toxic relationship and prevent them from losing their identity. So I pray that anyone that's involved in a toxic relationship, this is for you. God put this on my spirit on my day off to sit here and study 2 Chronicles 17 and 18. And it started in church. God was like, use this word from Bishop Bronner to get people out of toxic relationships. So send this to that friend. Send this to that family member and get out of this relationship. If you are doing worse in this relationship than you were before you met that person, it's toxic, and it's time for you to get back to who you are, which is a child of God, and you deserve a great man, a great woman who's going to uplift you and make you happy and make you smile and open the door for you and cook for you, and then you take turns cooking for one another, and then you can build each other up, because a relationship should always be life-giving, not life-taking. This is Dr. Tartt. I love you. Get out of that toxic relationship. God has a better relationship for you. This word is for you. God bless.